Story 1. About a year and a half ago I had a very serious, long-term affair with my best friend's husband, who was also my husband's friend. There's no excuse for it. Both relationships had problems, but I understand we caused an immense amount of pain and blew up a lot of people's lives with our actions, and no amount of marital problems justified what we did. Since then, both couples have tried to reconcile. The AP's wife has, throughout this time, frequently reached out to me as I am her only friend and the only person she feels comfortable talking to. She says her wayward spouse offers no support or reassurance to her, and she feels alone and at times even feels like hurting herself. I have felt that, ethically, I have a responsibility to her as my actions are responsible for where she's at now and what she's going through. To ignore her attempts to reach out, it seems to me, would just be further cruelty on my part. However, my husband feels strongly that I am to have no contact with this person and that any rational person would understand why he feels that way. When I try to discuss the matter with him, and how I feel like I'm in an ethical dilemma, he just gets very upset and yells at me about how it's just wrong and to just not do it. I have severed all contact with her now, after my husband threatened divorce if I were to respond to her ever again, but I am still left with the question of why responding to her was the wrong choice. Don't I owe it to her to help in any way I can, for her to heal from the damage I caused? Would that not be part of the atonement process, here? Husband is very upset that I don't see the contact as inherently wrong. I very much want to understand, but he refuses to explain to me why he feels that way and I just honestly don't understand. I feel very conflicted by it, and need help understanding. I appreciate any input I can get on this. TIA. Wow. Think of how horrible her life must be that the only person she feels she can talk about her husband's disgrace is the best friend who tried to steal her husband. I feel so bad for her. You are triggering your husband, it needs to stop. Your friend needs therapy and to make better friends. There are no rules of ethics covering ending friendships or people who are involved in affairs you hurt. You are allowed legally to end any relationship, including your marriage. I have been reading here and I don't think very many betrayed spouses are going to say they feel the friendship is good for the marriage. I do see waywards wanting to hold on to the affair, even if by afar, being able to see if the affair partner is okay, if he is doing well, if he still thinks about you, etc. I hope that this is not the case, for you, but I have read so much about these things that I think you would be the exception to the rule if you did not have that type of feeling. From me seeing it for so long, and thinking about it, it is kind of human nature wanting to know the other person believed it meant something, wishing the other person would have fought for you, etc. Those things almost always exist in the aftermath of an affair, and only after introspection and self-awareness does the focus and importance of that is put in perspective. But to your question, I also believe any rational person would understand how that would be hurtful, choosing someone else over your spouse, and having your spouse having the scab constantly picked it over and over and over by seeing and knowing that you are in contact with someone, your friend, who is in close contact with the affair partner, her husband. I suggest telling your friend that you are sorry, but your primary responsibility is to your husband. I am ending our relationship and blocking you on all social media. Apologize profusely, but bottom line, you are not going to make both your friend and your husband happy. If you are uncertain with your husband and want to maintain the other friendship, or the affair, that is all legal too, and ethics are subjective, not objective. People make up ethic rules, then change them again, in various organizations like companies or governments. Those are subjective, but they are in writing, so everyone can follow them, even though some or maybe even many don't agree with the written ethics rule. I helped write ethics rules in several companies I worked for. There was a give and take of various people of what the ethics should be, limits, relationships, etc. Personal ethics are not written, and each person is going to have their own what is right and what is wrong. It's okay to cheat if my spouse doesn't meet my needs is a very common personal ethical rule. All you have to do to find that out is read in a forum where cheaters post about what is right and what is wrong. I am curious, if enough people post that you are ethically responsible to stay friends with your affair partner's wife, will you follow that advice? No, I'm really not looking for anyone to say I'm right in keeping up the contact. I really just want to understand why it is inherently wrong, so that I can better understand my BS's position/feelings on the matter and not feel like I am being an even worse/more selfish person for cutting off contact with the AP's wife, who claims she needs the contact to heal from the affair. Thank you for your input. I do really appreciate it. That she is reaching out to you, specifically, is really tragic. But she needs a therapist. You can't help her with her husband and her issues because you're too close to the situation. To your BS, the AP's wife is a reminder and a potential gateway for re-established contact of the AP. He does not trust you at this point in time. You need to work on that instead of prioritizing the ex-friend. You need to consistently show him that he matters to you more than anything, because I can guarantee he doesn't feel that way. Anything connected to the AP is a trigger. You being in contact with her shows your husband you're not prioritizing and respecting him and his needs, which is usually a pattern when having an affair. So although you're not actively cheating, this is as close as it gets to it. By continuing to speak with her, you are keeping a line of communication open to your AP and his relationship status. So you are not really NC with him since you know how his reconciliation is going. It's horrible she has nobody to reach out to, but you owe a far bigger duty to your husband you have made vows to than a former friend. It is not inherently wrong. It is a subjective value-based decision. Some may believe that not hurting your friend is more important than not hurting your husband. Some others may believe that not hurting your husband is more important than not hurting your friend. You seem to believe it is more ethical to help your friend than your husband. What is your opinion of your husband not wanting you to stay friends? Why do you think he feels that way? Is he genuine? Is he just trying to punish you? If he is genuine in his feelings, should he sacrifice his own pain for your friend? How do you base your opinion on why it is more ethical to stay friends when your husband says he will find it hurtful? I do not think there is a right and wrong. If you believe in God, are in a particular church, and have those beliefs may have ethical or religious guidelines or rules, but that does not mean they are inherent for all. What I believe is right, others may believe is wrong, and I think we have to respect each other's opinions and values. But if you want to understand why it is wrong to stay friends, can you explain why it is right to stay in touch with someone close to the affair partner, considering the relative hurt of all people involved, your friend and your husband and you and your affair partner? This is so fascinating to me, because it's a very similar situation to what I just went through. Other than I was the BS, and it was the man who wanted to be friends. I couldn't for the life of me process why my husband felt so much draw to the AP's husband, let alone why AP's husband would want to be friends with the guy his wife cheated on him with. He said something about we've both been ducked up by her, and she's really unstable and I'm the only other person in his life that gets her. Something about her being self-destructive about getting caught or something. Anyway, from the BS point of view, being involved with the spouse of the AP is continuing a relational connection to the AP, even if it's indirect. It's a trauma bond, which is rarely healthy. She's unlikely to actually recover if you're in the picture. You can't be friends right now. Probably never. Her reasons for wanting to be friends with you can't be healthy at this point. A healthy person would want you gone, out of the picture. I imagine that part of her wanting to be close to you is her still figuring out what happened. Perhaps she thinks talking to you about it will help her process. It's unlikely to help, just rub salt in the wound. I understand that you feel responsible for ruining her life. Unfortunately, you can't fix it. You're not in the position to do so. Besides what's best for AP, you have an obligation to your own marriage first and foremost. If your husband isn't comfortable with the situation, you've got to let it go and accept that the dissolution of that particular friendship is fallout from your actions that can't be avoided. You owe it to him first. She needs professional help. You probably do too. Focus on your own home. You've got to fix that before you can be helpful to anyone else. In the end, my husband and I didn't reach closure until we established no contact with the other couple. Indefinitely. It was hard for all of us, but it's been about a year from D-Day and it looks like both marriages will survive. That's the important part. Thank you. This has been the most helpful response thus far, Heart. You have to understand that having contact with your AP's wife will do more damage to her and to your husband's emotional well-being. You've got to understand that your husband is in the process of healing right now from the damage you've caused, whereas your AP's wife, unfortunately, I do not think she is mentally well at this time. She is clearly not, and my heart goes out for her. You said it yourself that you caused an intense amount of pain to the people and blew up a lot of people's lives with your actions. I do not think you understand nor grasp the depth of that pain. You are not thoughtful enough, not considerate enough. It's a good thing that you severed contact with her. I agree with all the commenters here telling you she needs a therapist. The most helpful thing that you can do for her is to tell her she needs to hire one. As of now, you need to think of your husband's healing because that's what matters at the moment. Best wishes to you, especially to your husband. Worldwide comments of the day. Honestly, I think OP's flattered by the attention. She mentioned being unattractive and used to maintaining friendships with guys because it's pretty much understood they would expect nothing more. Now someone she feels is more attractive than her is giving her special attention, speaking to her about he and his wife's issues and pursuing a friendly/romantic relationship with her. If I was her husband, I would definitely not be laughing about this. I wonder if she's watered down the details a lot so he doesn't get suspicious about how she feels towards the coworker's intentions. This is why I'm firmly on the camp of don't keep close opposites as friends if you're in a serious relationship. It doesn't matter if you do anything or not, it's what the outside perspective looks like. Your husband may not worry now, but he will. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more interesting and relatable Reddit videos.